Let's start with the season finale for Daredevil: Born Again. I mentioned in my 3-minute review that this whole episode seemed like a finale to a show that just like was rushed and didn't like happen all that much, because it really seems like this is a finale from episodes 1 through 3. They stop, you pick up with episode 8, and then you jump straight into the finale with 9. It feels like two very different shows, which I think is what everybody was kind of afraid of happening when they said we're going to do a creative overhaul, we're going to bring old characters back, we're going to connect it to the original series, which granted, I'm happy they did that. I'm happy for the things that we got, but it creates overall a big mess of a picture.
Yeah.
Still a good show. Like if I still was ranking this of all the Disney Plus shows, I would still probably put it at like number 3, but I would have really wanted to put it at number 1.
That's
So
way for how many shows we've got that I think are actually really good from Disney Plus. That is a really high ranking for how, like, I guess
well, because it's
middling I've read your reviews as. Like, I know you've been pretty positive on it overall, but there's still that note of doubt. And when you're putting this thing up against things like Loki, which obviously I'm pretty sure is your number 1, if I'm not
it is.
mistaken.
Loki's
And
number
if you're
1.
including things like Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and Agatha, which I really enjoyed, and WandaVision, like, I don't know, that's really high for something that
It's
seems like you've been middling on.
Loki, X-Men 97, and Daredevil. And I think because here's the thing, like
Wow.
even though it is like a miss or a miss, even though it's like a mess of a show at times, like it's still really good. Like my least favorite episode of this series is probably episode 5. And episode 5 isn't bad.
Hmm.
Episode 5 is a very good self-contained standalone story, but it has nothing to do with the overarching plot beyond Matt putting on a red mask at the very end and breaking the leg of a guy who was in this bank trying to rob it. Like the whole point is Matt is
It was
going
very
to
shoehorned.
it's very a shoehorned plot that affects the plot in no way, shape, or form. Wilson
Yeah.
Fisk isn't even in the episode, which also goes to show that okay, they clearly did not this is just like a filler episode. It's just an extra episode that they
Hmm.
have to kind of pad the runtime, and it's from the original set. It's not bad. I think Yusuf Khan is funny in the episode. I think that Matt as a whole, as a character, is a lot more lighthearted and engaging than he usually is, which I don't necessarily know if I like or not, but it's not bad. And so like because it's not bad, I can't say, oh yeah, because these episodes are here, it makes the entire series awful. No, it just makes it a mess and it makes it hard to
Yeah.
rewatch. But pertaining more to the finale, um, Matt Murdock suits up as Daredevil, and he and Punisher go, and they are basically taking out uh, parts of Wilson Fisk's uh, part of Wilson Fisk's Punisher task force. And
Hmm.
dude, what I mean, it is fantastic to see John Bernthal back as Punisher, dude. I can't wait for his special after this episode. But John Bernthal was kicking ass, and it was violent, it was brutal. Honestly, I think at times this whole episode might have been more brutal than anything Daredevil has ever done. More on that with a Wilson Fisk thing that I'll talk about later. But the action was really well done, and I had a lot of fun with the fight scene. Um, and then we also get the return of Karen, which this is what I specifically wanted to talk about. Karen comes out uh, after basically calling Frank Levy like, "Hey, what's going on? Matt got shot. What's happening?" And Karen comes out of the car, and we get her back, and immediately you realize this is what the entire show has been missing is the Foggy Nelson Karen Page dynamic that we all really wanted from the beginning, because the moment she's back on, the episode is lightning in a bottle. It's the show that we want, and it's probably why the finale is one of the best better episodes of the actual show so far, because we get that back.
Yeah.
It's like you can't watch the Blues Brothers. This is actually a great example. You can't watch the Blues Brothers without John Belushi. We know that because
Mm.
they failed when they made a sequel movie with just Dan Aykroyd, and it failed.
Yeah.
There's like some things you can't just do without, and I feel like without Karen, it really separates the entire heart of what the show had going for it. Yeah, you have scenes with Matt and Frank, and that's good. But when you kill off Foggy, so that completely eliminates an option, and then you only have one person left, it creates a massive divide in heart and character and things that you really want from a show. And so overall, uh, my thing is like you really can tell that that's what they were missing was the Karen Page dynamic, and that's all they needed, and that's the show that we wanted to see. And so for that reason alone, I stand by my statement last week. I can't wait for season 2 because now they have a roadmap and now they know
Yeah.
exactly where they want to go. And it's unfortunate that their season 1 didn't take off as well as they probably wanted it to, uh, because of the entirety of the reshoots and trying to make everything more to the original show. It made it a problem for Matt's story as a whole. That being said, Kingpin's story, start to finish, perfect. I actually would go as far as to say it probably is, other than maybe season 1 Kingpin of Daredevil, it is the best Kingpin we've gotten thus far. I think his arc is incredible. I love the idea of. It's funny. The show's called Daredevil Born Again, but it really should be Kingpin Born Again, because I really feel more for Wilson's Born Again arc, because obviously it's happening simultaneously. You're trying to watch these men refuse who they are, because Wilson wants to actually try to be a good mayor. He wants to try to do all the right things, and then slowly and surely he slowly becomes the Kingpin again, and he does all these horrible acts and deeds,
He
and
can't escape his old
he
ways.
can't escape
I
his
know
old
that.
ways, and it's the same thing for Matt.
Yeah. Well, and I know, and I haven't seen The Sopranos, but funny enough, I've been watching Moist Critical talk about The Sopranos because he just finished season 4 of it. And one of the
Yeah,
things that he talks about, and the reason I bring this up is because I know you love The Sopranos, is the main character of The Sopranos. It's the same thing of trying to be a better person and always falling back to your old ways and showing that some people just can't change. And I think,
sure.
like, from the little that I've seen of Kingpin through both Echo and I think mainly through Echo, because that was another story that was told through Echo, is he wants to be there for Echo. He wants to be that father figure, but he can't get past the fact that he's also a bad man. Like
Yeah,
he cannot give up that part of himself, whether it be for someone he
yeah,
loves or himself. Like he just can't. It is a part of him to be a bad person. And I think
yeah,
that can be seen as lame or generic, but I think it is a really interesting character trait where a lot of the time, or I shouldn't say a lot of the time, sometimes you have a character that's evil for the sake of evil, and sometimes you have a character where you want it like a villain that you want to redeem. And then sometimes you have people like Wilson Fisk who you're like, oh, maybe he can be good because you can see some of the reason behind what he's doing, but he just
no,
always goes back to just being a bad person and being self-serving,
yeah.
even when he might do one thing good here or one thing good there.
Well, and it's interesting because last year we had another show that came out about a villain called The Penguin, which I know I've talked to you about a lot, and I really enjoyed
Yeah, and
that.
I need to watch that. That's on my watch list.
But the whole point of The Penguin, and something that they didn't lose focus of, and something that Matt Reeves really never lost focus of, is that Oswald Cobblepot is a villain to his
Yeah.
core, and you've been following him through this entire arc, but in no way, shape, or form has it ever given you any reason to actually care about this character, in the sense of, oh yeah, there's some good here, there's some hope for this character here. He is a
Yeah.
villain. And what was so fun about that journey, and I'm not going to spoil it because I want you to watch it at some point, but what was fun about his journey specifically was the audience themselves kind of forgot, because there's no Batman here, even though it's a Batman universe. There's
Yeah.
no real
And
good people in this universe.
it's specifically the Robert Pattinson's Batman universe,
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
And they're specifically like, everybody in the show is horrible. Like, they're all evil human beings. There's not one good person. So the
Yeah.
audience loses focus of the Penguin being a villain. Oh, he's clearly a
Mhm.
good guy. In our own heads, we change the story to make it seem like he's a good guy, but really he's a villain. And in the season finale, we really see how much of a villain he actually can be. And then we are all taken back and brought back to the moment of, oh wait, we've been following a villain this whole time. We never really should have cheered for this guy at all. It's
well,
one of those things, and specifically with Kingpin, it's kind of the same thing, just done on a different level. Kingpin was never a good guy. He's always been a villain, no matter how much the writers and creative team want to twist your image of him. He will always be a villain. And I think that specifically here with one specific scene, which I know I mentioned violence. The police captain is brought back into a room with a couple of the Punisher SWAT team created by Fisk, and Fisk full on Omni-Man crushes his head, eyeball popping out, and I'm just like, Christ, like that was hard to watch. But I watched that scene and I go, no, he's a villain.
yeah.
He needs to be stopped. I don't know why I ever rooted for this guy at all. Please get Daredevil, do something. Please.
Yeah. Well, and I love stories like that. I love stories where, so we've talked about how you've watched, I don't want to spoil anything for this, but because I have literally 2 pieces of art on my wall for it. Those are both Attack on Titan art right there. You've seen all of Attack on Titan, or how much of Attack on Titan have you seen?
I've seen all of the first season of Attack on Titan.
Okay.
But
Okay, so then I can't say what I was going to say.
A while ago.
So then I can't say what I was going to say. But essentially, and I guess this might be a spoiler, but try not to read too much into it. I love stories where your perception of the main character is twisted and turned so much in terms of good versus evil and what actions are justifiable and what actions aren't justifiable. And it makes you think, oh, we're following like you said with Penguin, and I really want to watch the show. I just didn't because you wouldn't give me your HBO login until recently. Because I'm a cheapskate.
But it also like the thing that I love about these stories, and I know exactly what you're gonna say about it too, is it really goes to show how much the writers are damn good at their jobs, and how they can craft a story that allows the audience to connect with these people who you should not be able to connect with.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because what I was gonna say is something along those lines, but it's also like I love those stories so much, and I don't know if anything is ever gonna come of this, but I've even had an idea rolling around in my own head of a story with a very kind of one of those things where again you find like your perception of the main character shifts and turns throughout the entire course of the story. And I think the story that I have in my head is a really good one, but I think everyone thinks that. I feel like everyone who loves nerddom always comes up with a story that they want to turn into something, and I'm not saying it ever will, but again, like that's how much I love, like I don't see myself as a very creative person, but I love stories like this so much that I even spun up my own because I just love. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so upset that I have like basically all of Breaking Bad spoiled for me, because I know that was one of the things that was really big as to why Breaking Bad is as big as it is because you're watching a good family loving chemist man go from a good family loving chemist man to the devil himself, brutally murdering people, manipulating, torturing. He becomes a terrible, terrible human being. And I'll still definitely watch Breaking Bad one day. I just wish I didn't have literally the entire plot spoiled for me. Because I just love stories like that so much in terms of good guy, bad guy, what's good, what's bad, what's the character's perception of their actions versus the actual ramification. I think that's my favorite part of it, and it actually plays into the story that I'm writing in my head way more, is it's not necessarily the dynamic between good and evil, it's the character's perception of what good is and what evil is. And I think that's a big thing with what Kingpin is Kingpin's perception is protect the city and his self-interest, but in reality, when he's going about that, exactly, it is at all costs. Like he doesn't care about the ramifications of his actions.
Sure. Yeah. And look, we've seen kind of like mini redemption arcs from Wilson Fisk, but not really. Season 3 of Daredevil, it literally is about how Fisk is basically put under house arrest. Hey, you can be free, but we're going to put you under house arrest. But the biggest issue with that, like, from the beginning as an audience member, he's manipulated the whole thing. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that like he's not even trying to sugarcoat it. Like, he has security cameras in his house in like a secret room. Like, he has been manipulating this whole thing so that he can get free again. Here it literally starts you off with the idea of he might genuinely be trying to change, and then little by little they introduce a small thing or tidbit to actually to actually, you know, show that he is a villain and that he's never been good. Uh, but the show is titled Daredevil Born Again, not Kingpin Born Again, and that's the biggest problem with this show as a whole. Is yes, Kingpin's a co-lead, and it kind of makes up for some of it. But when Kingpin's the only consistent arc and has the only consistent character development, it really just goes to show the difference between the shows, and that they clearly focused on this more than this more when they were revamping everything. And honestly, Matt got the worst end of the stick because of an episode like episode 5, where it's literally just a bank robbery. Matt happens to be there. Like, okay, where are you going to throw Kingpin into that? You can't. It's not possible. So, like, I understand objectively that this is probably what the show was going to have to be for its first season because they revamped everything. That being said, I feel like give it a few more months before you release it. Then give it more
Yeah.
time. Like, I would much rather let you guys take more time to do reshoots. If you're going to revamp it, create a more consistent flowing season 1 than the season 1 that we got, which isn't bad. It's still Daredevil. It's still grounded. The writing is still good for every episode, even if the episode doesn't connect to the overarching plot.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that it has to be as messy as it is. And this finale didn't do anything but prove that. The only thing it did do, which I was certain was going to happen, was it was going to set up an epic season 2. And at the end of this episode, we have Matt basically assembling the last few remnants of cops and people at Josie's bar, and being like, okay, this is the only group of people who aren't evil. We need to form a team to take out Fisk's like anti-vigilante task force. And, you know, that opens up a lot of possibilities. Is Iron Fist going to come back? Is Jessica Jones going to come back? Luke Cage?
Mm-hmm.
Could we won't, but could we see Spider-Man appear? Because right now he's technically a vigilante just swinging around the city. Could we see all of these things? And I think that season 2 has a potential to really up the stakes in the Daredevil universe that we've never seen before, while at the same time we have a clear roadmap. We know where we're wanting to go. So yeah, overall, messy first season, good finale. I just wish it was better than what it was. So
I mean,
I guess
that's fair.
disappointed, but that's it. I'm disappointed,
That's fair.
but not disappointed like, you know, somebody,
Not disappointed
you
enough to
know,
not put it above WandaVision at number 3 of your
like what.
favorite Disney Plus shows. I feel
Sure.
like
Well, that's what I'm
this
saying.
again.
Like,
This is what shocks me about your rating so much. Is I feel like you've talked about, like, granted, you talked about some positives, but it feels like overall your reviews week to week have been like, oh, I didn't like this, and I wish they did this differently, and it's hindered by reshoots. And then at the end, you're like, it's number 3, and I'm like, damn, okay.
well,
Like,
but it's like I said, and I had to stress this every time I talked about it, because yes, whereas these are things I wish they did differently, it's not bad. It is still really good, even though it's not what I was expecting
yeah,
them to
no,
do.
I get that. No, and I'm
Like
not saying like you're
the
lying
writing is good.
or
No,
whatever.
no.
Like
Like, the writing
yeah,
is good, the action is good, the cinematography is good. If you ask anybody, unless they're just haters, they would probably still objectively look at it and go, "No, you're right about that. It is good. It just doesn't connect or flow together as a season should." Um,
mm-hmm.
and the problem I have with a lot of the other Disney Plus shows is, yeah, they connect, but some of the writing and some of the things, they just fall off and become
That's
typical,
fair.
stereotypical things, unlike Born Again, which really invoked new ideas, new prospects, new things that allow the audience to just chomp at, and you know, it's something new. That's the difference. And so
I
that's
think
not
that's
it.
fair.
That's what Loki did. It was something new. It tried something new, and it did it very, very well. X-Men 97 was also the same way. I also go as far as to say Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man did the same thing too. The difference is I just prefer Daredevil to Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So that might be that.